Krishna Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Ananta-koti Vaishnavrinda ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Jnana-timirandasya Dhanañjaya Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saranam Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubheva-cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, we're coming at a very auspicious time of year, celebrating some 10 days ago the appearance day of Lord Balaram, and this past Monday, just 2 days ago, celebrating the appearance day of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa Janmashtami. And in about 10 days time, a week from this coming Sunday, on the 16th, we'll be celebrating Shri Radhashtami, the appearance day of Srimati Radharani. So, in this time we see it's a very auspicious time as these personalities are appearing, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, His primary expansion, Lord Balaram, and His Haladini Shakti expansion, Srimati Radharani. They appear for our benefit. They appear to instruct us on how to find this greatest love in our life, and that is love of the Supreme Lord. If we think about it, If we have love, we need nothing else. But if we have everything, but we don't have love, we'll feel a void. And that is because the spirit soul is part and parcel of Kṛṣṇa. And he is full of love. He is full of bliss, happiness. And so because we come from him, we have that same nature and also need. So by celebrating these wonderful festivals, we hope to make some progress in awakening this dormant love. And it may seem very far off. Boy, I don't love Kṛṣṇa. I love so many things. I love my jalebis. I love my friend. I love my movie, my favorite film star, my car. So many things we love. But Kṛṣṇa is down on the list. And we sometimes wonder, can I awaken this love? Do I really love Kṛṣṇa? Well, Shastra explains, actually, it is the natural instinct. When we say instinct, it happens without thought. It is the natural position. It is the natural instinct of all of us to be in eternal loving service of Kṛṣṇa. But that natural instinct has been covered. Just like a diamond, it has a natural ability to sparkle. Right? But if I cover that diamond in mud, that ability to sparkle is still there. But it's not perceived because there is some covering, some mud. So to bring about that sparkle factor again, I just remove the mud. I'm not creating the sparkle in the diamond by removing the mud. I'm simply bringing out what is there. So similarly, this love of Kṛṣṇa is lying within our hearts. But it is covered. The mud that is covering it is all of our material anarthas. So, by experiencing these wonderful festivals, these pastimes, we take some few steps closer to removing a couple layers of this covering, so that that natural sparkle in our heart of love of the Supreme Lord will again manifest. And when we experience love of Kṛṣṇa, it is so sweet, so sublime, so full of happiness that nothing else will then register in our mind, because everything else will be secondary, it will be subpar. Because it's so sweet, so magnificent. So, by practicing Kṛṣṇa consciousness as we move through these wonderful festivals, it is a time to experience the bliss of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. And we see there's some heightened happiness, energy, experience in these festivals. Well, that is just giving us a tiny fraction of a glimpse of what awaits us when we awaken this love of God and return back home to Godhead. Because in the spiritual world, these glimpses we experience are always there. And they are ever increasing. In the material world, as we experience something that gives us pleasure, we know the more we experience it, it starts to get stale. We don't experience the same taste today that we experienced yesterday or the day before. But in spiritual life, it's the complete opposite. Whatever we experience today in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, tomorrow, it's even sweeter. And the next day, even sweeter than that. And this goes on for how long?
Eternity.
Never ends. Because Kṛṣṇa is limitless. So is the happiness in spiritual life is also limitless. So let us experience these festivals with the mood to awaken our dormant love of Kṛṣṇa. And the best way to experience these festivals, yes, is to honor the wonderful prasadam, to see the beautiful forms of the Lord decorated so nicely, to hear the wonderful songs of the Lord. But the best and most potent way to experience this festival is to increase our devotional practice. Leveraging, utilizing the great mercy to increase our chanting, to increase our reading, to reduce our material attachments. That will give us the long-term effect of experiencing the benefits of these festivals. And on these days when we pray to the Lord, please help me chant more. Please help me chant more sincerely. Please help me render service more. Kṛṣṇa is in such a giving mood that He makes the path for us very easy and sublime. So with the right mood, we can really maximize, get the most out of these wonderful festivals. And the foremost is to make a giant step forward in our devotional practice, because that will carry us forward to the next festival. And like that, it goes on. Okay. So, last week we discussed, anybody remember which verse we discussed? Huh?
Do your duties without fruitive results.
Oh, we have to do our duties. But what don't we get? No fruits. Kṛṣṇa said in the 47th verse, you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of the action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. So Kṛṣṇa says you have to be active. You cannot not do your duty, right? Spirituality is not about being inactive. It is about being active. But we gave the example last time of a young child. A young child who is active, running around, maybe taking a hammer and breaking something. We can't just say sit and do nothing. Instead, we want to make the actions of the child productive, non-destructive. How to engage the child, right? So similarly, we are like children. We have to be engaged in activity. We want to do so many activities. The senses are so strong, they'll pull us into all kinds of actions, driven by the desires in the mind. So, but with intelligence, we must know how to do our actions. And so Kṛṣṇa says, you are not the enjoyer of the fruits. And that hurts. That is the ego smashing. Because we think, I am creating all of this. If I go to the office and I put in the hard work, I put in so many years of study to get this piece of paper that allowed me to then go to this place of work, and I'm going day after day struggling through traffic and office politics and problems in the office and this and that. Finally some fruits come, not in a fruit basket, but in a paycheck. And now Kṛṣṇa is saying it's not mine? Then whose is it? We wonder, whose is it? This can be sometimes difficult to digest. So who actually owns the fruits of our labor? Kṛṣṇa. And why Kṛṣṇa? We are not the owner. We think we are the owner. But let's ask one question. What did we bring into this world? Nothing? Not even this kurta I didn't bring? Nothing. Only my karma. What am I using to create all the things I'm creating? Borrowing. From who? From Kṛṣṇa. Where the ability comes. Let me ask, the most intelligent person in the world, most capable person in the world, if the sun does not come up anymore, how successful they'll be in their endeavors? Who will grow the foodstuffs required to live if the sun is no longer there? can do? Kṛṣṇa says even He is the fire in the belly that allows us to digest the foods. Every breath we take, who is providing? We just think nature, right? Some random acts of nature. Really? What if the random acts of nature stop? It won't, because Kṛṣṇa is maintaining. So whatever we create in this world, it's not different than if I come into Prabhuji Mataji's house, I come into their kitchen, I take some things out, I mix some things in a pot, I make a nice meal, they come and say, oh, what did you make? I said, I made it, I'm going to eat now. Is it any different? We come into the material world, we manufacture all these things, and then we say, I'm going to enjoy. It's no different. If I come into your house or we come into Kṛṣṇa's house, it's the same. So because we are not the owner, we must know there is a superior enjoyer of the fruits of our work. And that superior enjoyer is Kṛṣṇa. So he gave this result. What happens when we detach? I don't know why this is not working. So the bottom is, if we attach to the fruits, right? We said we have to detach from the fruits. But that's a choice we have. So how we'll make a decision, whether to keep the fruits or whether to detach. How we'll decide, based on what criteria?
It gives me benefit.
Whatever's going to give me more happiness,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. If attaching the fruits is going to give me more happiness than detaching, then I'll keep the fruits. If giving up the fruits is going to give me more happiness, then I'll give up the fruits. It's simple as that. That is the simple formula by which we'll evaluate whether to detach or not. So Kṛṣṇa is saying detach. Right? Remember, Kṛṣṇa's motive in speaking this whole Bhagavad Gita is to give his dear friend Arjuna the best of all advice. Someone who has knowledge can give advice, right? If I know where some museum is and you're desiring to know where it is, then I have knowledge that you don't have. I can give you advice on how to get there. So who has all knowledge about all circumstances, in all situations, for all living entities? Who has that perfect, complete knowledge? So when he speaks knowledge, it must be giving us what is the best outcome for us. But like a child sometimes doesn't understand why mother and father are saying, do this, don't do that. We also sometimes don't understand. We're a childlike mentality. Don't understand why Kṛṣṇa is saying detach from the fruits. So there's a very simple reason. One, factually, we're not the owner. But it goes beyond that. If we attach to the fruits, what comes with it?
Karma.
Reactions. Good karma and bad karma. If I have any good karma credits in my account or any bad karma credits in my account, at the end of this life, what happens? I have to come back and take another birth. Why? Because I have to come back and take those credits. Nobody's going to take them. No one else will take them. So I have to come back and take them. Okay, so I take those credits in my next birth. Well, what happens? If I'm continuing to attach to the fruits, I'm creating more karmas. And then, at the end, I have to come back. And more and this cycle, how long it goes on? And when we come into this bodied world, what do we find? Miseries. Old age, disease, death, birth. difficulties of the mind, body, all conflicts, natural disturbances. Anyone is free from any of these? Anybody is free from disease? Old age? Death? We're all fearful of that. But nobody is free from it. And because of that, every time we are in the midst of trying to enjoy, suffering comes. So attachment leads to suffering. But what does detachment lead to? When we detach, we're still active, we're still doing our duties, maintaining our family, doing our jobs, being successful in life. But knowing Kṛṣṇa is providing the ability, Kṛṣṇa is providing the resources. So if I work in that way, no reactions. What happens at the end when there's no good credits, no bad credits? Close up shop. Band. Go home. Everything's done. And in the spiritual world it is Vaikuṇṭha. Kunta doesn't exist. There's no misery. Everything's eternal. There's no doctors. They're all unemployed. No psychiatrists. Everybody is very sweet and peaceful. No law enforcement needed. There's no conflict. Everything is perfect. So by this right-hand criteria, what will make me happy, I shall decide. We've been trying to attach to all the fruits of our labor for so many lifetimes. And it hasn't worked. So Kṛṣṇa is saying, you are not the owner of the results. You must detach from the fruits. And when we detach from the fruits, we awaken our relationship with Kṛṣṇa. And He is eagerly awaiting for all of us to return home where we came from. Just like any child who has run away from home. What is the single desire of mother and father? When they'll come back. Not a moment passes that father is not lamenting when my child will come home. Kṛṣṇa is lamenting the same way. But are we lamenting for Him? He is waiting for us. That He'll not force. And the path to doing is detaching. Detaching from the fruits is the key to this happiness. And what's the perplexing thing is it's the exact opposite of what we are told. The exact opposite. Right? We are taught you do good in school, you get a good degree, then you go earn some income so that you can enjoy. Everything was good up until that last piece. The real path to enjoying is to enjoy with Kṛṣṇa. And the ego that says, I am the doer, is what prevents us from realizing this. So Kṛṣṇa is smashing our ego. He says, you are not entitled to the fruits. Never consider yourself the cause of the results. That's a difficult statement to swallow. So let's see now what he says in the 48th verse. Somebody wants to read the 48th verse?
48.
248. Okay.
Perform your duty equipoised, O Arjuna, abandoning all attachment to success or failure. Such equanimity is called yoga. Purport. Kṛṣṇa tells Arjuna that he should act in yoga. And what is that yoga? Yoga means to concentrate the mind upon the Supreme by controlling the ever-disturbing senses. And who is the Supreme? The Supreme is the Lord. And because he himself is telling Arjuna to fight, Arjuna has nothing to do with the results of the fight. Gain or victory are Krishna's concern. Arjuna is simply advised to act according to the dictation of Krishna. The following of Krishna's dictation is real yoga, and this is practiced in the process called Krishna consciousness. By Krishna consciousness only one can give up the sense of proprietorship. One has to become the servant of Krishna or the servant of Krishna. That is the right way to discharge duty in Krishna consciousness, which alone can help one to act in yoga. Arjuna is a Kshatriya, and as such he is participating in the Varnashrama Dharma institution. It is said in the Vishnu Purana that in the Varnashrama Dharma, the whole aim is to satisfy Vishnu. No one should satisfy himself, as is the rule of the material world, but one should satisfy Krishna. So unless one satisfies Krishna, one cannot correctly observe the principles of Varnashrama Dharma. Indirectly, Arjuna was advised to act as Krishna told him.
Okay. This light that can turn on?
Yeah.
It's just I cannot read it. So Krishna is saying here, perform your duty equipoised. O Arjuna, abandoning all attachment to success or failure. Such equanimity is called, thank you, yoga. Right? So what is yoga? This is such a confused term these days. Is yoga some body contortion, some breath control, standing on head? What is yoga?
Kriyas.
Huh?
Kriyas.
Kriyas?
In unison with Lord or with mind.
With which one?
Linking with God.
Yoga means linking with Krishna. You means to connect. So Prabhupada explains, yoga is concentrate the mind upon the Supreme. That is yoga. What we see in modern day is a very small fraction of the yoga process. Making the body fit is a part of yoga, as long as it's connecting to Krishna. Making the body fit so that you may enjoy your senses more pleasurably is not yoga. And whose opinion is that? That's Krishna's opinion. And who is the creator of the yoga system? Not Patanjali. It's Krishna. He has given all the yogas from chapter 3 through 6 in Bhagavad Gita. From that, all derivations have come. And he says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta taramataha. And of all the yogis, the highest of yogi is the bhakti, bhakta, who with faith is performing devotional service. So yoga means connecting with Krishna, to fix the mind. And what is disturbing our mind's concentration? Senses. The senses want to go into all kinds of places. Why all these fancy billboards are on the highways? To attract the senses of the eyes, to captivate and make some strong desires in the mind. You know, the bakery pumps out wonderful smells. So as we're walking by, it's like a magnet, and we get pulled into the shop. It's captivating the senses. Starting in verse 54 through the end of the second chapter, Krishna is going to speak on controlling the senses. Because it's very difficult. But he's going to say it's actually very easy by the practice of Krishna consciousness. It's impossible by some artificial means of restricting the senses. But by practicing Krishna consciousness, it becomes very easy. It's subtraction by addition, meaning by adding spiritual life to our time, will naturally take out all of the sense destroying objects. So, this yoga is connecting with Krishna. Now, Krishna gives a very powerful statement here. Abandoning all attachment to success or failure. How many of us experience some amount of stress? No? We all do. And we'd all like to be fully stress-free, right? So, what is this concept of equipoised or equanimity? What does that mean?
Being neutral.
Being neutral. Okay. What else?
No good, no bad.
No good or no bad. Does it mean we're like stone-like? We have no emotion?
No, just not affected by the positive or negative side of things.
Not affected by the positive or negative side of things. Is that very easy to do?
No.
How strong would we consider someone who can be very calm in the midst of chaos?
Be a yogi.
Be a yogi. Someone who can carry out such equanimity would be considered a very powerful person. So Krishna is telling us how to become this equipoised. By doing your duty, abandoning all attachments. So, I found this definition. Mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation. Anybody wants? We all want it. So, there's one giant benefit in Krishna owning the results. And it's this. Success or failure, whose issue is it? It's Krishna's. But there's one other thing that's required in order for us to be successful in that scenario. And what is that?
Enthusiasm.
We have to be enthusiasm, perseverance,
Do our duties.
to do our duties. But if success or failure is all Krishna's, we must have faith in one thing that will allow us to be equipoised. Krishna must do one thing for us. And what is that? If child comes home and has success in school or has failure in school, does rice, dal, sabji come?
Appreciation.
Mother and father still provide. We must have faith that Krishna is our ultimate protector and maintainer and provider. So Arjuna is fighting this battle. If he has full surrender to Krishna, it doesn't matter whether he wins or loses. All he has to do is work under the instruction of Krishna. Because he knows one thing. He knows Krishna is this almighty, incomparable personality of Godhead. His instructions have only the perfect conclusion for all of us. And Krishna's love for each and every one of us is unending. So then what Arjuna will fear? If he loses, he knows that is Krishna's issue, not mine. And he will take care of me. He will protect me. And if he wins, that is also Krishna's gain. And Krishna will protect him. Take care of him. Unending faith in the protection and love of the Lord is the key principle of surrender. But when we have this faith, it makes us the most powerful person in the world. Why? Because we can put forth all of our effort in our activities and not worry about success or failure. That is Krishna's situation. If he wants it to happen, it will happen, and if he doesn't, it won't. And so all the energy we waste worrying about the outcome can instead be put in our service. Now, because we don't have gain by success or failure, we cannot then come to the conclusion, well, then I should do nothing. I should become, why I should do anything? Why I should do anything is because everything we should do is in this loving relationship of service with Krishna. And that brings about the greatest experience of happiness. So in devotional life, the pleasure, the bliss comes in the service, not the result. In material life, the pleasure comes in the result, not the service. Nobody enjoys going to the office, but they do it to get the result. But like everything, Krishna consciousness is the opposite. The bliss and happiness is in the service. Srila Prabhupada, we celebrated his appearance day yesterday. He exemplified this to perfection. He was fully in bliss in rendering service, even in the midst of extraordinary failure, if we see externally. Meaning, people were not coming, books were not selling, he was struggling, he was robbed. Externally we think, oh, he must be suffering. But Srila Prabhupada was in bliss. Because his pleasure was coming in the rendering of service. He was not attached to the fruits. As soon as you attach to the fruits, you're going to have ups and downs. He was attached to the service, which he could control. That was in his hands. The results are not in his hands. Just like if I want to go on a vacation, my ability to enjoy is not in my hands. If it rains, I won't enjoy if I'm supposed to go to the beach. But I can't control that. So I have ups and downs. But Srila Prabhupada was fully in bliss. When millions of people were coming and so many followers and temples were going up, he was also in bliss. But we externally think, oh, he was in bliss because all the results. Oh, those results were Krishna's. His bliss was in rendering the service to Krishna. And thus he says at the end of this purport that the right way to discharge our duty, what is the right way? One has to become the servant of Krishna, or the servant of the servant of Krishna. That is the art of doing our duty. So when we detach from the result, we no longer have the stress of success or failure. But we have the firm conviction, Kṛṣṇa is my eternal father. No father would ever leave his child. And so Kṛṣṇa will never leave us. So then where is the scope to be unhappy? The only time unhappiness comes is when I have my own independent desires. Then sometimes it will come. More often it will not. This is the profound instruction Kṛṣṇa is giving in this section of the second chapter. By detaching from the results, you gain unlimited eternal happiness. And so he says in the next verse, O dhanam-jaya, this is the 49th verse, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service. and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. What is a miser? What is a miser?
Who wants to keep everything to him?
Wants to keep everything to him in some way, yeah?
Who is or will be in misery.
It always ends in misery.
Who has lots of resources but never uses it.
Like what? Now keep going.
Yeah.
A miser is one who has great wealth, but will not even spend a few dollars to clothe themselves, bathe themselves, and nourish themselves. Have great facilities, but are wasting it. So why Krishna is saying miser? He's saying we have been given the greatest of opportunity, and that is our intelligence. We have the intelligence to understand whether to attach, whether not to detach. Can the deer and the donkey and the dog and the zebra and the bird, can they discuss whether to detach or attach? No. But we in the human form of life have been given this greatest intelligence. And if we just use this intelligence to eat, sleep, mate, and defend, then we are no higher than the animal life, because all the animals do are eat, sleep, mate, and defend. Yeah, we may try to eat nicely, sleep nicely, mate nicely, and defend nicely. But if we just use our intelligence to do that, we are being miserly. We're not utilizing the great gift we have. Attaching to the fruits and trying to enjoy by eating nicely, sleeping nicely, mating nicely, defending nicely is living a sophisticated animal life. It will not yield anything but suffering. But if we use this intelligence and follow what Krishna is saying, he's saying by devotional service, keep everything far away. Just by the practice of bhakti, naturally, all of these material activities will disappear. Anybody has that experience? No? That we had so many attachments. If we said in the beginning that you have to give them up, it's very difficult. I said just add spiritual life. Just add Krishna consciousness to your life. And by that, all these other things will naturally go away. So Krishna is saying, don't be miserly. Now Krishna is saying that, so he said by doing bhakti, one can become equipoised, this equal, unmoved, very strong. He said that you can keep all these abominable activities very far away by the practice of bhakti. And now he is saying in the 50th verse, a man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad reactions. Even, what does he say? In this life. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. These reactions, they are shackles, chains. They bind us to this material world. And how to break these chains? How to become free from them? What is Krishna telling us? Engage in bhakti. Do devotional service. He's going to say at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam śaranam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo. I will deliver you from all of your sinful reactions. Ma suchaha, do not fear. So Krishna is saying, by doing bhakti, one is erasing so many past sinful activities. We've all done so much nonsense. We may only remember this life, but we don't remember the past millions of births of nonsense we have done. But all of it, one can be freed from. And how fast? Even in this life. That is how powerful bhakti is. Devotional services. So one can remain active, going to the office, managing family, having all that. But by knowing how to do those activities, one becomes free from all of the sinful reactions from that work and achieves the ultimate happiness. So the key theme in this is detachment equals happiness. But we think attachment equals happiness. And so Kṛṣṇa, we're all ready to detach? It's not so easy. So he's going to speak the entire 3rd chapter on this detachment principle. And again the 5th chapter. And again in the later chapters. Because this ahankara is very strong, this false ego. I am doing. It's as foolish as I said, if I come into your home and I start making some food items and say, I did it, it's mine. And you would all laugh and say, that's so silly. Who would think that? That is what we do when we think we come into this material world and all the things that we create are ours. But by this simple process of detachment, everything becomes so sublime. It's a simple process, but not easy. Understand the point? It's simple, but not easy. So how to learn to detach? It is by doing devotional service. The more we chant, the most powerful means to unearth, to bring out this shining, sparkling consciousness lying within our heart of this loving relationship with Kṛṣṇa is by chanting the holy names. The more we chant, the more rapidly this comes about. And more profound this experience of equanimity. Imagine, just for the next 7 days, we could go through our days with no ups or downs. How many would relish that? And Kṛṣṇa, when he's saying ups and downs, we have to make one thing very clear. He is saying no ups and downs as it relates to material affairs. We become equipoised. But we enjoy and become so enthused in our spiritual life. Because spiritual life is only up. There's only one side of the coin. There's no duality. In the material world, everything is duality. Tall, short, hot, cold, rich, poor. That's duality. But in the spiritual world, it's all happiness. So he's saying equipoised. Yeah, whatever material ups and downs you have, no problem. But our consciousness is centered on the bliss of devotional life. Now, how many of us would like to go to work Monday morning with that consciousness? All right. And it's available to all of us by following these principles of these verses. They're very profound, very deep. And the experience is within our control. How much are we ready to detach from the fruits and surrender to Kṛṣṇa? So, in the 52nd verse, Kṛṣṇa is telling us, when your intelligence is passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and that all is to be heard. Kṛṣṇa has an amazing way of making points when he says things like this. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion. What is a dense forest of delusion? It is all the various Vedic sacrifices and different types of activities that one can do to achieve these material results. And it's all delusion. Why? Because there's no real eternal happiness. He says when your intelligence passes out, like if you're in a dense forest, you want to try to get out of it so you can get into the clearing and then make your way to where you want to go. But inside the dense forest, you don't know where to go. And like that, sometimes in spirituality, we don't know where to go. There's so many things, this person saying this is saying. Krishna is saying, with your intelligence, come out from all of this. And you'll become indifferent to all of it. Indifferent doesn't mean disrespectful. Indifferent means, not for me. What's for me? Bhakti, devotional service. Why? Because it will give me this equanimity, this freedom from all of my sinful reactions. But more importantly, it'll reawaken that loving relationship with Krishna. So, this renunciation is about using everything we have with Krishna and not by ourselves. That is when we find happiness. Remember one thing. Krishna has only one activity, and that is to enjoy. That's his only activity, is to enjoy. Well, if I have a bar of gold, and a gold has some color, some luster, some potency, and I take a speck of that gold out, it also has that same, but in small quantity, right? If I am part and parcel of Krishna, then what is my only activity? If Krishna has only one activity, and that is to enjoy, then Maya must have also only one activity, and that is to enjoy. Why we are all universally bound by this single goal? Because that is where we come from. Krishna is the source of everything, so where our happiness will come from? Wherever the source of it is. Krishna is sarva karana karanam. He is the cause of our happiness. Because when we first hear detach, we think, I lose, he wins. What he is going to win with our paycheck, with the fruits we are going to give. He has everything. So who wins in detachment? We do. We win. Because he is the source of everything. Our relationship with him brings about this ultimate enjoying propensity. And that is the only goal Krishna has in speaking Bhagavad Gita. How? To bring about happiness for Arjuna and for all of us. That is the only desire of Krishna. What is the only desire of mother and father for their children? That's it. That's it. Happy. Any other desires there? It's only to support their happiness. Safe, so they can be happy. Good grades, so they can be happy. Nice spouse, so they can be happy. Nice children, so they can be happy. Nice friends, they can be happy. That's their only desire. So then what is Krishna's desire of us as his children? To see us all happy. And when child is ready to follow mother and father, everything works out very nicely. When we are ready to follow the instruction of Krishna, everything works out beautifully. So now starting in the 54th verse, Arjuna is going to ask some questions of Krishna about how to become situated in this consciousness. Because Krishna says in the 53rd verse, when your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in trance of self-realization, then you will have attained divine consciousness. We all want divine consciousness. And he says it comes when you're no longer attracted by the material fruits. And so Arjuna is going to ask now how to find that. What does it mean? What are the characteristics? And the remainder of this chapter will be discussing how to achieve this consciousness. And the central theme there is going to be controlling the senses. The central theme in this section that we just discussed is detachment. Okay? Any comments, questions? A lot was presented today. Yeah.
What exactly detachment means? Is it a detachment from the ownership of conscious or leaving the things? What exactly, Prabhuji? How practically we can implement it?
No, that's the best question because this is the most misunderstood. So the question is, what does it mean practically to detach? Does it mean to physically remove ourselves from them, or what does detachment mean? So Kṛṣṇa says to Arjuna, he wanted to run away. And your question, Arjuna is going to ask in the beginning of the 3rd chapter. Because when he heard the 49th verse, he thought Kṛṣṇa meant detach, you should run away to the forest. Run away from your responsibilities. So Arjuna is going to ask, what do you mean by renunciation? Detachment. So he's going to explain in perfect detail in the 3rd chapter, but we won't have to wait till then. We'll discuss today. Which is, detachment is about emotional detachment. Meaning, my consciousness is that whatever I'm creating, it is Kṛṣṇa that is enabling, Kṛṣṇa is facilitating. So I'm going to use it with Kṛṣṇa, not by myself. That is renunciation. Real renunciation, anashaktasya vishayam yatharam payanjate nirbandha Kṛṣṇa sambandha yuktam vairagya uchyate. It means whatever one has, it should be used in the service with Kṛṣṇa. That is renunciation. And one renounces the desire to use it for themselves. So practically, I go to the office and I get a paycheck. I said last time, renunciation is not I tear it up and put it in the garbage. That's not renunciation. How am I using it with Kṛṣṇa then? Am I? Nirbandha Kṛṣṇa sambandha. In relationship, sambandha with Kṛṣṇa. That's yukta vairagya. So how to do that? Do I go drop the paycheck in the hundi? Well, then that's not practical. Because what about maintaining my family? So Kṛṣṇa says, no, don't do that. So Kṛṣṇa says that everything you do, you keep doing. You do your job, you do your family life, your friends, your societal contributions. But you bring Kṛṣṇa into the middle of that. Then you'll get fulfillment. Everything else is like a bunch of zeros. But if I have 10 zeros, 50 zeros, does it have any value? I have to put a 1 in front of that 0. Then it has, Kṛṣṇa is that 1. So with the job, Kṛṣṇa says you work. He didn't say inactive. He said you must work. Don't be attached to not doing your duty, he said in the 47th verse. So you go to the office. You earn income. And you use that income in the service of Kṛṣṇa. You maintain your home as a temple for Kṛṣṇa. You cook foodstuffs and you offer it to the Lord. Then you eat. You raise children as knowing their eternal Father. We are temporary mother and father. We help society. We serve society. Constructing temples. Distributing books. Spreading the glories of the holy names. We had the Somerset Rath Yatra. Everyone had to contribute something to put on that festival. That is detachment from the fruits. If no one went to the office, how we could distribute prasadam? If nobody went to the office, how we can raise our children to become Kṛṣṇa conscious? If nobody went to the office, how we'll feed ourselves? No, you have to work. Not working is not an option for most of us. So detachment is detaching from using it for ourselves. Real renunciation is learning how to use everything with Kṛṣṇa. That is renunciation. So you see devotees, they are great careers. They're great mothers and fathers. They're great members of society. Because Arjuna wanted to run to the forest. And Krishna said, come back. He's telling all of us, don't think that spirituality is about going to the caves. You'll be, as Prabhupada once said, one disciple said, I want to go to the one place in Vrindavan and chant japa by myself. And he says, why you want to go? There are enough monkeys there. It will become a disturbance. Okay? So renunciation is about consciousness. Knowing that Krishna is providing all of this, I shall use it in Krishna's service. That is renunciation. Okay? And actually, when we have this equanimity, detachment for success or failure, you'll actually become more successful in your career life. When we have faith that Krishna is the ultimate controller, my job is to do one thing. He has given me some ability. My job is to not waste it. When a child is growing up, the mother and father say, don't waste the gifts you've been given. And a child who takes that seriously is appreciative of what mother and father has given to them and applies themselves sincerely to the best of their ability, that is very pleasing, both to mother and father and also to the child. So similarly, our responsibility is, Krishna has enabled me to do some amazing things, whatever they are in my capacity. And I will do them to the best of my ability. And whether the results come or not, that is Krishna's issue, not mine. I just do the best I can. Every day. The only thing I worry about is, did I give 110%? If I did, I'm okay. That mood actually makes us most successful in our business career life. Corporate America is trying to get people to reduce workflow stress. They're bringing yoga mats into the office, but they need to bring Bhagavad Gitas into the office. Yoga mats will not help, but Bhagavad Gitas will. Because this will show how. No need to fight in elbow room. No. Krishna has us in protection. So you'll find great career success as you apply this principle of detachment. It's been proven over and over and over again. We do our best and know who is going to give us the intelligence to solve the problems, to complete this project, to figure this out. Who can give us the intelligence? Is it better to rely on our ability or Krishna's ability?
I have two interpretations and one question. Correct me if I'm wrong. Controlling the senses. My first interpretation is, enjoy Krishna Prasadam and then hear Kirtan and then read books and then see Krishna's idol all the time. So again, I'm saying all the time. So that is one level, Prabhu. Now we are at a different level. Again, we are trying to control certain senses, not all of them together. So progressively we are reaching. How? So this means that from Grahastha Ashrama, then slowly we are reaching that place. It may happen in this life or it may not happen. So once if you reach, does it call a renunciation or controlling the senses? Because all the time is what controlling the senses it means, right, Prabhu?
It doesn't matter which ashram you are in. And again, we're going to be talking about controlling the senses for the next almost month, because we'll go through all more than 2 months. So, Grahastha ashram is not a license to enjoy the senses, and only in sannyas ashram or these other places that. So. And we have proof. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was in Grahastha ashram until he departed this world. And he was a pure devotee, fully sense-controlled. So it doesn't matter which ashram you are in. You can be in sannyas and fully unsense-controlled. And you are a pretender. Mityachara. Krishna will say, don't be a pretender. Don't be a false renunciate. Put on the saffron cloth carry the danda, and the mind is meditating on all the sense objects. So, the process of working in a detached manner is purifying our consciousness. But in all ashrams, the senses must be controlled. So when you're in the office, you're also controlling the senses. If the fruits of that office work is going to be served to Kṛṣṇa. If you're going to use 1% of the fruits of your labor to serve Kṛṣṇa, then 1% of your office work is bhakti. So we must come to 100%. But 100% doesn't mean we put the check in the hundi. 100% means I have no more material desires. So how to come free of material desires? It is not by taking out our material desires. It is by adding the blissful life of spiritual life. More Krishna Prasad, more transcendental pastimes, more seeing the forms of the Lord, more festivals, more chanting. The more we do that, naturally the taste, Krishna is going to say, this higher taste of bhakti will automatically let go of the lesser taste items. And so the process of sense control is natural, not unnatural. Because we'll naturally gravitate to the higher taste. Just like if you have a $5 bill in your hand and I offer you a $100 bill, which will you gravitate to? You have to think. Do you lament? Oh, I'm giving up my $5 bill. Why? Because you're picking up something higher. So you'll trade your lesser attachments to the higher attachments by doing more spiritual life. So, but it's not a matter of I'm grahastha ashram, so it won't happen in this ashram. One can attain the pure state in all ashrams. And we have proof positive. In our Guru Parampara, we see both grahasthas and sannyasas. Both. Prabhupada said, the most powerful brahmachari is one who can restrain the attachment to the opposite sex and still be in association. That's grahastha. That's grahasthas. He said even higher. We'll talk a lot about, because when we say sense control, again we think, oh, just like detachment, oh. But we'll see, sense control is not about control, it's about engagement. Just like the child, when he's walking around with a hammer breaking things, we don't have to control him. But we don't control by saying sit. No, we control by engaging in something positive. Similarly, Krishna is going to show us how to engage our senses in positive things. Naturally, then the sense. So the sense control happens automatically. It is a byproduct of bhakti. Don't worry about that. Worry about how much more devotional service I can do. Let it happen naturally. And your other question?
Yeah, I have another question. So, Bhagavad Gita, Prabhu, who should read again? The concepts are so heavy. The children cannot read, right? I think I don't know, maybe adults only will be able to read, right? Understand also.
You should go and you go to the temple and you ask any child who's been going to Sunday school for at least 1 year, and you ask them any basic principle question of Bhagavad Gita, and they will blow your mind. You ask them, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And they'll say Krishna. You ask some big yogi, some Sanskrit scholar, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? He'll give you a 4-hour answer. And he still will lead you and you won't get anything out of it. You ask any child, what are the activities we should do? They'll tell you. What should we not do? They'll tell you. They'll explain to you the modes of material nature. They'll explain to you detachment. They'll explain to you false ego. These are all 8, 10-year-old children. It's happening like you see it. This Sunday we had, you saw the kids' Janmashtami. To me it was the most sweetest thing I've ever seen. These children are knowing how to perform arti to the Lord. They prepared the whole Abhishek to bathe Kṛṣṇa. They recited the whole Brahma Samhita. They were chanting all the mantras. They were washing all the paraphernalia. Everything, A to Z. And I thought, what we are doing here? All done by children. Prahlad Maharaj says, one must begin their spiritual life at age 5. We are late to the game, so we better catch up. We better catch up. So, and that is the power of Srila Prabhupada's movement. Is he encouraged this teaching of the children, these Vedic principles. Because at an early age, they set very nicely. At a later age, they become the anarthas, the defense mechanisms are very strong. And so we start very early. And that is why this, I sound like a broken record, but it's the truth. This Sunday feast program at the temple is the most important thing for us. It's so powerful. I think, what's the big deal? But you want to see it, you should have come last Sunday and you'll see just one aspect of its potency. What the kids have been able to acquire. Yeah, they can acquire it in some home program, right? They can acquire it through some other means. But there's a different potency in this, because this was how Srila Prabhupada established the process. The darshans we take on that Sunday feast is different than any other day of the week. They all experienced? The reciprocation is different. Why? Because all of Krishna's friends have come. And so he's ecstatically showering mercy. The prasadam is different. The kirtan, there's a vibrancy there. And so, but I got off into a tangent. But this is how powerful that this teaching is. That the children can understand. Now it has to be explained in a way that's digestible for them. But the essence, actually I can say they understand it better than us. Because they don't have as much ego. They don't have as much ego. It's okay?
Yeah.
I have one quick question. So I understand needing to detach because the work is like so stressful for me right now that I can't even describe. So my question is so like I feel like it consumes so much of my time, like 60 plus hours a week when I'm not working, I'm doing emails, like so, and I always want to like pray, but I feel like I shouldn't pray for him to change my situation because I don't know if that's what Kṛṣṇa wants. So should I just pray that like, if this is what you want for me? Like, I guess I was just not understanding like how to ask for help in this situation.
Yeah, you do understand it, because he said it, which is, we just continue to engage with Kṛṣṇa and have faith. Whether I ask him or not, he will take care of me. And most often than not, we don't even know what to ask of him.
Yeah. Because I feel like I'm being selfish by saying like.
Because you have a sweet heart that I shouldn't burden Kṛṣṇa with my orders. He's not our order taker. We go to the temple, and I said we drop our $5 in the mini, and now Kṛṣṇa, are you ready? I need this, I need that, I need this. One more dollar, okay. I need this, I need this. Oh, and for my wife, I have this, and that, and the whole list we put forth. And Kṛṣṇa he just smiles and hears it all. Anybody else will take our orders like that? They would say, get out. I don't have time for you. But Krishna always has time for us. But the best way to pray to Krishna is, Krishna, I am a fool. I don't know up from down, right from left. But I know one thing. You are my ever well-wisher, my beloved Father. And I am surrendering to you. Whatever you want to do with me, you do with me. I have faith. You have my best intention heart. And if that means I'm going to work like this, then that must be that that's what you want me to do. And I will do it with my full love and intensity. Because I have faith in your love. And if you don't want it, you'll change it. I'm incapable. But you are. And we just pray that way. We chant and engage in bhakti. And when we let go of that and let Krishna take control, he fully takes it. And he says in the Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter specifically, he says, I carry what you lack. I preserve everything that you have. He says in 12, I am your swift deliverer when you're ready to engage in devotional service. So, just the best mood of prayer is, as you said, I don't know what to ask. Maybe I shouldn't ask. I feel selfish. That's because you have a conscience. You know, Krishna's not our order taker. We should be his order taker. And instead, just pray and have faith. And it'll give you great strength to persevere. Strength comes from Krishna. Remember, everything comes from Krishna. Our happiness, our strength. Okay?
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yeah.
So, I've been wanting to ask this for a while, but it always slips my mind. So, the traditional yoga that you spoke about, you know, working out, basically going to the gym, that's good for the body, and in some aspect it's good for the mind as well. But is it increasing my love for my body in terms of material love?
It can.
Is it bad?
It's not bad working out, exercising the body. Srila Prabhupada, I just heard this pastime recently. Srila Prabhupada was told by a doctor, it was at quite an advanced age. He said, you know, if you don't start moving, you're going to die. And Srila Prabhupada, from that day, he began his morning walks. And every morning he would walk 1 hour. Now, while he was walking, he was giving classes to all of his disciples. He would chant and japa. But this, we have to maintain the body for 2 reasons. One, it's a temple. Krishna is residing within our heart, so we maintain the body. We also, it's a vehicle to render service to Krishna, so we must maintain the body. So, it's okay to exercise. I worked out this morning. If I don't, I have challenges. We all have some issues.
Right.
You know, backs hurt, this hurts, those things. So we have to exercise the body. But for what purpose? Am I exercising the body so that, you know, people will admire how I look? Or am I exercising the body so that I may make the vehicle fit to render service to Krishna? So our goal should be there, right? That I'm exercising the body for that purpose. So many devotees do yoga. I was doing yoga for a long time and calling some instructor and we were doing very good for you.
Yes.
But the purpose of it should be not for enhanced sense gratification. It should be for enhanced devotional service. So as I said, it's a small part of the yoga process. The different pranayams, the different asanas. That's part of the yoga process. But it doesn't supersede our chanting.
Right.
So yeah, you can, maintaining a fit body is also very important. Srila Prabhupada was very instructive to his disciples about, you know, what they eat, even prasadam, like, you know, you should eat, and, you know, initially he's saying eat all you can because he wanted people not to eat anywhere else, so go full. But eventually, you know, we come to the point where we honor Krishna prasadam, but, you know, we eat in a way that doesn't give trouble to the body, because the more trouble comes to the body, then we have to maintain it and take to it. So, like this Ekadashi, Ekadashi is coming tomorrow. It's a very auspicious Ekadashi for many of us. But this Ekadashi is coming tomorrow. Ekadashi, the purpose of this vrata is to give body rest from its normal needs so one can spend more time in devotional life. So that's why we're saying, we should chant more, typically 50% more. We should read more, do some more devotional service because we're eating less on this day. In ISKCON, Ekadashi becomes so grand that I eat more in Ekadashi than not Ekadashi. But the concept is there. So, maintaining the body is good, but for the right end goal. It's okay?
Ravi, is it, sorry,
Yeah.
is this Nirjala Ekadashi?
No, not that comes in June, May, June. So this is just kind of another Ekadashi.
So can we eat? Or
Yeah, you can eat just no grains. So you can take fruits, milks, nuts, things like quinoa or samo, just no grains.
So, Prabhu, like I hear from the class that everything you do, you have Krishna consciousness in that. And I was speaking to one person who do yoga, and when I was speaking to him, he also said like, do yoga in everything. So I don't know what that means because he meant that to me, and I didn't
Did you ask him?
I didn't ask much details to it. But like he said, like I was also being taught that do yoga in all the activities that you do. So I just couldn't. Of course, I can understand do Krishna consciousness in everything, yes, but
That is why this is practical and that is not. I don't know what that means. Sometimes that is just word jugglery. We say this, sometimes we say, we tell people chant. Oh yeah, I chant all day long. Maybe you're the special soul that is chanting all day long. Reality is you're not. Meaning at some point that will come, but there's a process to achieve that high platform. So we must go through the regular process of chanting our japa. Chanting japa is so important, so important, so important. And because by that, those natural states of, so yoga all day, that's convenient. The only yoga is connecting with Krishna. If the goal of our yoga is not connecting with Krishna, it's not yoga. So making the body fit, if the goal is to use that in service of Krishna, then it's real yoga. So if you ask the yoga, I do yoga, and they say, who's God? They say light, they say this, that. Then how it can be yoga? The answer must be it's Krishna.
Saying that Krishna consciousness is easy but not simple, how we can make it simple, or why we are saying
No, it's simple, not easy.
okay, simple is not right. Okay, why it's not easy?
Well, let's see first how it's simple. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We need no intelligence. We need no wealth. We need no status. We need no fame. Nothing. What could be easier? There are no hard and fast rules for chanting the holy names of Lord. Yet Nija Sarva Shaktis, all of Krishna's energies are put into these holy names. So simple. But anybody finds it easy to do their rounds every day? It's difficult. So how to make it, what is making it difficult? It is our false ego, it is Maya, the illusory energy. So how to make it easy? Well, to anything that's difficult, to make it easy, we need a strong force. So what will make that happen? Krishna. We have to pray to Krishna. If we sincerely beg and cry to Krishna, please, allow me to chant your holy names. It'll become easy. But are we crying for that? We are crying for many other things. So to make the simple process easy, it takes great desire and humility. Rupa Goswami explains in Nectar Devotion, if you couple humility with intense desire, greed, lovyam, it can, like rocket fuel, go very, very fast. Humility, I cannot do this myself. Only Kṛṣṇa can make this happen. No matter how much I try myself, I can't do it. But I really, really, really want it. So badly. As badly as that 3-year-old child wants a piece of candy, that's so badly how I want to have the taste for chanting the holy names of the Lord. Have we begged Kṛṣṇa yet? Please, Kṛṣṇa, let me taste the sweetness of your holy names. Have we ever begged with sincerity? Try it. If we really want it, Kṛṣṇa will make it happen. Kṛṣṇa will make it happen. So that is how to make the simple process easy. It is by relying on the great mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Prabhu, like sometimes I feel like I know that what I'm doing is wrong, but I still do it. Some force still makes me to do it, and I know it's wrong. So, though sometimes, yes, you forcefully make you not to do it, but sometimes it doesn't. So, how to improve this? Why is this kind of situation coming to us? And the problem is we are knowing this is bad. That is the.
Well, consider yourself lucky first that you know. Did you know 2 years ago? A year ago? Maybe, maybe not. So at least first step, consider yourself extraordinarily fortunate that you know. Kṛṣṇa has facilitated you to know more right from wrong than you knew prior. That is your greatest fortune. That's step one. Step two is, because many people don't want to know. If you start talking about do's and don'ts, don't tell me. I don't want to know. So be grateful that I know. Thank you, Kṛṣṇa, for letting me know. Now, Kṛṣṇa, I have one more thing to ask. Help me execute. Surrender to the power of Kṛṣṇa. And remember, tapasya is part of our spiritual path. Some austerity is there. But the fruit of performing that austerity is so sweet. So powerful. So, yeah, there's some austerity. Accept it. Relish it. How much austerity you took to come to the US? Why you did it?
I know there is a fruits.
How much austerity it took to get a diploma? Why you did it?
Because
Oh, but in spiritual life, no austerity. This is not right. There's so many rules, this, that. Oh, in university there were not rules? Don't copy your neighbor's paper. But in bhakti, spiritual life, there can't be rules. Where in society, anything, what you gain materially without rules and some austerity? Anything? Zero. All takes some austerity. So spiritual life also. What propelled you was your faith in the fruit. That I was willing to endure those sleepless nights and writing papers and exams. Because you had faith in the fruit of that paper. That was a degree that would give you something. So what will propel you in your faith to take on some austerity in spiritual life? Is the faith in the fruit. And that's why in the beginning, we follow Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi sadhana bhakti means I don't have the internal impetus, but I know Guru and Shastra are telling me right. I can't trust myself to do it, so I'm going to do it because I know they're right. Even though my heart isn't there, but I'm going to follow the instructions of Guru and Shastra. And that's the first step. Because from that will come the internal impetus, the raga. That, oh, I want to do this. I'm not chanting my rounds because someone said I should chant 60. I'm chanting my round because it's so sweet. That is where we want to come to. But that won't come until we come to this first stage of following under the guidance. I have some faith in Guru and Shastra that they're guiding me correctly, that fruit will come. So I'm willing to endure some tapasya, some austerity. So just stick with it. And when that taste for doing something you know is wrong and you still do it, beg, okay, next time I won't do it. Next time. It'll happen. Add more devotional light. It'll happen. But be grateful that at least you know. Anything else?
Hello.
How are you?
Okay.
You okay? I heard you got anything. Anything else? Shall we chant?